I'm now going to get back to some of the simple things that we can make. These are things that you can buy in nurseries and garden centers. I have for you here today two types of Cryptomeria. This one is called Cryptomeria japonica and the variety is called Yokohama. I don't know why it's called Yokohama. There is of course a very famous bonsai nursery or ordinary plant nursery in Yokohama called Yokohama Nurseries. It may have come from there because Yokohama Nursery has been going for more than 150 years. And this one is Cryptomeria japonica, and this is called Wilmoriana. Wilmore, I don't know, it could be a Dutch name. So there are many types of Cryptomeria. So Cryptomeria is quite a huge species, but there are very few that can be used for bonsai. And there are many varieties of Cryptomeria which the Japanese use for bonsai, which they don't pinpoint the variety as such. Let me show you some of the varieties that are used for bonsai. If I walk here, this is a Cryptomeria that I had from Japan years ago. And this is a difficult variety. I've always said that Cryptomeria is very difficult because the upkeep and the maintenance is very tricky. This tree keeps dying and dying, and I keep reviving it. And a number of people who have seen it said, oh, you shouldn't keep it because it's got all sorts of disease, but it's rubbish. Now this all here is 1 year's growth. This is 1 year's growth. You must be wondering why I let it grow so strong. I let it grow like this because I want to make it strong. And look at it, it's even producing seed. Look at the seeds on this, full of seeds on this. I'm growing a new leader there, and look at the trunk, it's thick, and it really looks like these great big Cryptomerias that you find growing outside the temple gardens in Kyoto. So once they grow strong, I then cut it back. Let me show you this before I work on those other two. So each year I grow it strong, only to cut it back because it's produced the strong shoots. I must confess that I don't really know how to deal with Cryptomeria. If I did, they wouldn't be in this state. I can keep it after a fashion, but I always admire how the Japanese keep it in good condition. But they always produce these dead shoots. But the tree doesn't die, they keep springing up and they keep producing more and more foliage. So the way I do it, I just let it grow and then cut it back. And like this, I produce the pads which make it look presentable. So these shoots here are brown, but they are not dead. It's just the tips are dead. But if you keep on top of it, I dare say, you should be able to get decent pads. Look at that long shoot. That has literally grown in about 2 months. So I keep trying to produce the pads, and let's see how successful I am. See, I wired this out. The shoots at the end are going, but the shoots at the back have browned off. So I've come to the conclusion that you've got to keep doing this to keep on top of the tree. So it's a very frustrating species, to say the least. Look at that, all that shoot. Now this I wanted to make a new leader, so I will continue letting that grow because I want this to thicken. Once that's thickened, much thicker, I will then chop it off so that I get a decent trunk over here. This new leader should develop a thicker trunk before I do anything to it. But meanwhile, I'm just keeping on top of this lot here. This particular variety of Cryptomeria has very coarse growth. So I don't know what variety this is. It's probably the variety that is used in the temple gardens. But it just shows that if I had imported this as a bonsai, it is obviously used for bonsai. So this is what you have to keep doing. Keep dealing with these brown shoots and just develop the green shoots. So this is how you can make the pad. I will take another shot after I've cleaned it, but it will take a lot of time. You see, just in a couple of minutes I've taken all that off. So this is the future development of these. These died over a long period of years. So I'm regrowing this tree for a different style. So this is an ongoing project. Now let me take you to some other Cryptomerias that we have, because we have lots of Cryptomerias on the nursery. Right, now this is yet another variety. These are all imported from Japan. You see how thick the trunks are. And these are grown for making these groups of forests. They were imported as small trees, and over a period of time I have developed them. So this is what it looks like. They're really old. I've had these about 30 years and they've hardly thickened in all that time. So this is another variety. Very, very slow growing. See, I've got about 4 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's no one there. 5. So we have quite a few of these groups. There's lots of these groups. So they become quite strong trees. And the growth is very frustrating. You get these long shoots, but I like to keep them tight like this. So these are all very long standing trees that I've had, and they are really long-term projects more than anything else. So I sometimes air lay it, I make cuttings from it, but just shows you that although they grow strong, they are difficult to style. So these I would probably gin. So there's lots of possibilities with it. So this is Cryptomeria. As I say, they are difficult species to manage. Now let me take some of these shoots and compare to the 2 Cryptomeria that I'm going to work on. Now if we compare it with these ones, this one which I've just pruned off those forest groups, this in fact does look like the Yokohama. And these trees, because they came as bonsai from Japan, this is the nearest match to this one, which we sell as Cryptomeria japonica Yokohama. If I compare it with Wilmoriana is much softer. The foliage is not like this. So this is definitely not Wilmoriana. So I would say these are the Yokohama variety. So let's try and make something of these trees. Now young trees are much easier to work on, I would say, than the thicker old trees. And this is a nice size for most amateurs to work on. Look at the roots on that. They're so well grown. And the compost is just a mixture of this very coarse bark and the peat substitute type soil. And let's tease away at the base. I always begin by teasing the surface roots, because if you tease the top and get down to the base, you will find some decent surface roots. And not only that, you will discover a thicker trunk. There you are. See, now you can see the trunk. Okay, let's start from there. So that is a good start. Now, the tree has a natural lean to it. So let's see what we can do. I think just by pruning, I haven't cheated or taken the best ones. Most of the trees actually look like this. So it is so dense. I'll just create some pads if I can. Now, I'm not going to waste any of these. These will make lovely cuttings. Cryptomerias grow very easily from cuttings. Very, very easy from cuttings. But if you look at these trees closely, if I put several of these together in a tray, it will become a very natural looking forest. You wouldn't have had to do very much to them at all. And they would look very credible as a bonsai. Now, don't ask me, how do I know what to cut? I'm just going to the next level and see if anything comes off, so it doesn't look dense like a big bush. I can't say that there are any visible branches. It's just a mess. It's so congested. Lovely little trees. I'm just cutting away in there in the hope that I will be able to create pads between each level. Look at all these beautiful cuttings I've got. No, I'm not tempted to do more. That's all I've done.
It's really...
That's all I've done. And look at it. It's a ready-made bonsai with a few tweaks of the scissors. I will just get a pot and then we pot it up. Okay. So all I've done is prune a few of these little shoots off to create one pad. I haven't even got to the top. And because it looks so convincing, what more do I need to do? Let's try a pot that's a bit small. Now this is about right. And hey presto, I'll use the same soil again. This, I think, is just a mixture of peat and bark. It grows so well. And look at that for a bonsai. Beautiful, literally in 1 minute. That's all I've done to this. I wouldn't do more. No wiring, nothing. I'm not trying to make it into an S or whatever. Okay, now let's try the other one. Now the other one is not as easy. As I said, the growth habit is quite different, but it's a challenge nevertheless. So what do I do? The first thing I do again is to take away the soil from the surface, see if I can find a trunk. Now this one is a bit floppy because it's top heavy, but there is a trunk visible. There is a trunk visible. You see how long the shoots are? So long. Now this one is not so congested, and there are visible branches here. I guess you can wire some of them. Oh, look at all that. So ideal for making these little show-hen type trees. So I've got that far. If you take a close look, there are visible branches there. And I'm going to find suitable grades of wire. And I will try wiring some of the branches. So I'm using here 1mm wire. So let's see what I can do. Because the foliage is so congested, you can't really do much wiring to it. So the growth habit is distinctly different from the Yokohama. And this is more wireable. You see the pads have been created. So I would say that if you made cuttings with these and just planted them on rock, they would make a lovely little rock planting. So just thin the tree so that you can separate the branches, and whatever branches are visible, just wire them up. That's all I've done. No secret, no tricks. So I wired about 2 pairs of branches. Wire some more. So the point I'm trying to make is that this variety, if you can get hold of it, is very suitable a material for making these small bonsai. So these we are offering on our nursery because we are able to source this variety, and look at that. So this is visibly wired into recognizable branches, and then you can refine it as much as you want. But don't go too mad, because if you keep cutting everything, you end up with nothing. So just be a bit cautious. And again, you can put it straight away in a bonsai pot. You notice that I'm potting at this time of the year, this is in mid-September, getting into autumn. But I always reckon so long as you don't cut any root, you can just put it in a pot and they will survive. Now I'm just trying to show you the principle what I'm trying to preach. You see, I'm just shaking that soil off, keeping those roots. I know that this pot is a bit small, but if you found a slightly bigger pot, don't be in a rush. I know that, say, this pot would be too big, but at least it would give it a chance to grow. And then come the next spring, you can take it out of that pot, cut the roots, and then put it in the pot properly. Meanwhile, it would have grown more. So the principle of what I've shown you today is just showing you the possibilities of using these two Cryptomerias. This is Yokohama, this is Wilmoriana, and both are very nice subjects for doing little bonsai. So, and the beauty is if you buy these little trees, that would make a beautiful cutting. So how would I make a cutting with this one? Again, it's quite woody, and I'm plucking this like this because this is how you would make a heel cutting. See, every bit that you pull off like that becomes a heel cutting. So that's a heel cutting. This is an ideal heel cutting. Wherever I pulled off the shoots, from here you will get roots. So you just insert that into soil, insert this into soil, and you'll get a plant in about 3 months' time. So there you go. Very, very useful plant to have because you can propagate from it and you can buy several of these. So as I said, if you just make a forest of 5, you'll get a beautiful little group. And these trees, I think we only sell like for 15 pounds, I think. So they're quite big, you know, they're at least, what, at least 9, 12 inches high. And extremely good value trees, and you get beautiful bonsai. There you go.